lift heavy, sleep, and repeat. We call that our life cycle, made a shirt about it, and it rings true with who we are as a podcast and a group. We are fortunate enough to have partnered with a company who can help us achieve one of those three key elements: Som Sleep. They have a keto-friendly version of their delicious sleep aid drink, and we're loving it. It's a lightly flavored 8-ounce anti-energy drink. You drink it roughly 30 minutes before you're ready to go to sleep, and you'll feel it help you into a deep, restful, all-night sleep. It provides some helpful elements to do so, including magnesium, GABA, and melatonin. When combined, you have a powerful tool for getting the impactful sleep that you and I so frequently don't get in our technology-driven, fast-paced lives. You can find it at some retail stores, but you can also purchase it online and get it shipped to your door. When you do, use discount code TKMC10 and you'll not only be getting 10% off, but you'll be helping support the Keto Man's Club. You can find the link to their website by going to theketomansclub.com. We're thankful to Som for partnering with us, and we hope you'll benefit from use of their product the way we have so far.
Hello and welcome to the Keto Man's Club podcast.
We're glad you're here, where each week we talk about men's health and lifestyle.
We do so with the foundation of the ketogenic diet and lifestyle.
If you don't know what keto is, stick around and you'll find out.
The podcast will bring you real, honest fun.
Each week we strive to uncover the tips and tricks that you can use in your everyday life to maximize your overall health.
Find the clearest path to becoming the best version of yourself that you were meant to be. Hello and welcome to this week's episode of the Keto Man's Club podcast. My name is Chris. I'm one of your hosts, and as always, I'm joined by Berto and Jim. How's it going, Jim?
All is good, sir. Made my what's the phrase when you go like every 3 weeks to some place? Is it a tri-weekly kind of thing? Maybe
something like that.
Yesterday went and did my tri-weekly visit to the butcher shop about 45 minutes away. And had a buddy go with me. We stopped at a little diner across the street, had some farm fresh eggs for a couple of omelets, and picked up, we were just talking bacon before we came on the air, and picked up probably not enough to last me an entire week of going solely bacon, but enough to make me happy for at least 2 weeks. So coolers were filled, and the freezer is stocked. So it's good.
Always a good thing. I recently started a mail order meat delivery service that's based here in Texas, and they've delivered some pretty good stuff for us so far. We haven't been using it as fast as we get it, so I need to step up my game a little bit. But yeah, it's been good stuff so far. Berto, what's new?
Well, by the time this airs, Girl Scout cookie season will be in full swing, and both of my daughters are Girl Scouts, which makes me a Girl Scout delivery dad. Girl Scout cookies delivery dad. So, between, obviously the full-time gig and then still trying to get the part-time gig squared away on top of podcasting and everything else, I got to add that to the mix. But we're doing good. Started off with a bang. First shop I went into, first 3 people that I ran into in that shop bought 15 boxes of cookies. So,
ooh, this is good.
If the goal is to slang sugar, we are slanging sugar like the best of them.
Yep. Very cool.
All things. You say what you want about the cookie program and Girl Scouts in general. Opinions vary. But to get a little girl out of their shell and to get them talking to strangers and to be able to get them to do quick math and look people in the eye and that kind of thing, as far as I'm concerned, that alone that's a life lesson everyone could use.
I absolutely agree. And that and the spirit of entrepreneurship is absolutely a good thing in my opinion, because it is something that it teaches them the value of work in exchange for money and connecting, and like you said, connecting with people and getting out of their comfort zone. That stuff is huge to get into these little ones' heads early, so that they don't deal with resistance to such things later on in life. So yeah, absolutely.
Berto, can you give us a quick example of how the girls are going to be doing this with all the COVID masks and social distancing and everything?
They've they've gone a bunch of different ways. Like they have their own like personal online like code, so you could actually go to the Girl Scouts website, place your order, put in her code, and then get them delivered to you, and then she'll still get credit for the sales.
Okay.
Cookie booths are actually still happening. Just obviously a little bit different. We're trying to stay as far away from people as possible. But I mean, if you break it down and you think about kids and product on one side of a table, and then like signs on the other side of the table, and they're able to have hand sanitizer, and everybody's paying electronically these days. It's
Right.
not that, and it's out. And on top of it all, like you have to do this outside. No establishments let the girls inside, which was what makes it miserable when you live like in the upper Midwest, because you're outside this time of year. We're down here with 70 degrees and they had a little bit of rain today, so that's not that big of a deal. But so you're outside as it is. A lot of it's pretty much, other than handing off a box of cookies, a lot of it's 100% contactless. So they seem to be doing all right.
Good for them.
So let's talk business a little bit here real quickly. A quick reminder to our listeners that we would appreciate any support that you guys can offer in terms of either referencing our podcast to your friends and family, leaving a review or a comment on either Apple Podcast or on Amazon with the Audible application. There's a couple other platforms I think that do comments as well. But really that helps drive the engine, as you might know. Also, you can connect with us in quite a few different ways. You can connect with us through our website and all of our social links, the groups, and the Facebook page, all for the podcast at theketomansclub.com. And you can also email us at ketomansclubpodcast@gmail.com. And last but very much not least, and we'd love to hear from you, you can either do a text or leave a voicemail at 512-518-6161. That would be a great way to connect with us as well. So there's quite a few different ways to connect with us, and we'd love to hear any feedback that you have, any comments or ideas that you have. We actually had somebody email us the other day with some great ideas, and we're hoping to develop that out a little bit here in the future. So that will be really cool. And then I think that's pretty much it. I don't think there's any other news going on right now, right, Jim?
No, we're all good, Chris.
Cool. Okay, so let's go ahead and dive right in. We want to be mindful of our time with our guest today, and so let's dive into our shout outs real quick. Jim, let's start with you.
My shout out is to Mark Ryder, and I've never really engaged with Mark too much in the group, but he posted up a photo a few days back, his first, he calls it, from September 2019, then kind of an in-between from March 2020, and then a third one from January 2021. Just says that it took a while to find some pictures, as when you're heaviest, you avoid the camera. As much as I don't like to see these photos, I absolutely need to, because I need to remember that life. Why did I hate myself? And find peace with the past. Believe in yourself. Know you can be the change for yourself. Own it and be who you want to be. Goes from what looks like in line for dinner, so to speak. One of those pictures where you don't know somebody is taking your photo, so you don't suck it in. You don't put your chin up in the air to try and lose one of the three that he has or whatever. To the now photo in the gym, good sweat, lean and mean. So congratulations to Mr. Mark Ryder.
Very cool. Berto?
I am going to go with our former guest and friend, Mark Sartoris, who got himself into a bit of a fender bender, and judging by the looks of the car, it was not comfortable for him. Looks like he broke his arm in the process, and posted a couple pictures of some hospital stays, but didn't slow that guy down one bit. He's still doing what he's got to do, and his humor and good attitude is still around. And some things can definitely knock you off your game, but this one didn't put him back at all.
No, not at all. He's been a trooper through the whole thing. I am shouting out Matt Weiss. He's got a bit of an experiment going on right now, a sponsored experiment, no less, which is really cool too. I get to see a good opportunity for him. He is doing nothing but bacon, and he's 9 days in and has already lost 10 pounds. That just... that's, Jim, you referenced this a minute ago where you were saying that, it's not enough. You didn't get enough bacon to be able to let it be all that you ate for the 2 weeks, but you got enough that you'll be happy for the next couple of weeks. And so, yeah, it seems that he's getting a good result from what he's doing. He doesn't list how much he's eating on the posts, but yeah, after 9 days of straight, nothing but bacon, he's lost over 10, just right at 10 pounds. I call that a win in my book. That's crazy. So yeah, that's our shout outs. And so let's go into, let's introduce our guest. Berto, why don't you take it away?
Sounds good to me because I know him just as good as you guys do. What I was originally going to say was we have intersecting circles, but that intersecting circle is just Gormy. Mm-hmm. But Alex Porro, a lot of you guys may follow him online or on Instagram. I know I do. My only interactions I ever had with this guy is through comments via Instagram and listening to him on other people's podcasts. But one thing became apparently clear very, very quickly when you have a conversation with this guy is this guy has the warrior mindset of the likes of which very few people have. And it turns out this is his month to go carnivore. So that kind of just plays in. So let's just have a good old conversation with this guy, see what he's got to say.
Absolutely. Alex, welcome to the show. So,
thank you for having me, guys.
Yeah, absolutely. So we always kind of start at the prelude. Before you realized there was a reason to take back your health, before you knew that there was a crisis. Tell us a little bit about who you were before that and kind of where you come from and things like that. And then we'll let that naturally transition into your health journey.
Okay. Well, first I had to check and make sure that this wasn't an ambush, having the carb guy on a keto podcast. But yeah, thanks for having me. I'll introduce myself. So my name is Alex Porro. I weighed in at a whopping 480 pounds just under 4 years ago. And possibly even heavier at like 500, but we'll go with the recorded weight at 480 pounds. And, just going way, way back, my weight has always been a problem. Me, just like a lot of, guys who listen to your podcast and are a part of your Facebook group, I was addicted to food and addicted to all the wrong foods being that, and just overeating, eating the wrong things, making terrible decisions, and not being relatively active growing up just led to, my breaking point that day when I stepped on a pallet scale and saw that number. And I just, from then, knew that I needed change.
Alex, how tall are you?
I am a ginormous 5'9". I think I was 5'10", but I think some of the fat that I lost on the bottom of my foot, I went down to 5'9". Yeah.
And how old are you again?
I am 28 years old. 28 years old. So I mean, for I like to think I'm glad that I caught it a little younger. So I'm glad that, it didn't pass me by. Like, we were talking about earlier, you guys were talking about earlier, my good friend, your good friend, Mike Gorman. So I'm glad that I had that moment at, 24. So
the transformation that you post, that's 4 years?
I actually, surprisingly, I lost it really quick. When you guys talk about that warrior mindset that I have, which I really appreciate, I lost 265 pounds in 15 months. And I've kept it off. I've lost more. Like the gold number that I had in my mind was I was 480, and I wanted to be 225. It's just a random number. I didn't put a date on it. I was just like, hey, 225 sounds good. And I was able to lose that in 15 months. And you know what I mean? To a lot of people, it was like shocking. To me, it was shocking. But yeah, being able to keep it off for, this upcoming March is going to be 4 years. That's, what's obviously really important is finding that sustainability and, finding those routines and habits that continue to help me keep it off and continue to transform and push new goals and, keep going forward.
When did the weight start kicking in? Were you always a big kid or high school, college? How did it start?
Yeah, I want to say it's like a running joke with me and my older brother. I think, I don't know, I was maybe like 5 or 6 years old, and I stepped on a grocery store scale, and I think I was already like 150 pounds or something. I was like, I don't know, I was really young, but I was really heavy. And some guy's like, boy, you're 100 pounds. Like, I was just always big, like always eating the wrong foods. But I think it really started to pile on after graduating high school because I didn't really further my education. I really wasn't that interested in school. And I just picked up a regular, 9-to-5 job at a grocery store, probably the worst place for somebody who struggles with food to work at. And I was working in the dairy and frozen foods department. So if anybody ever had a question or needed a review on ice cream, I was their guy. But it just really started to pile on, honestly, after high school. Just, like I said, working there, drinking the chocolate milk, ice cream. It was just a comfort. I was in a relationship that turned into a marriage, and I was comfortable. I wasn't being judged by anybody. I didn't have that high of expectations from anybody or myself. So it's just one thing led to another. And, yearly physicals at the doctor's, I didn't know my weight because the doctor scale only went to 350. So it just took that one day stepping on a pallet scale and seeing that I got that heavy that, I woke up finally.
That's just, that's, I don't want to be funny, but that's kind of heavy. Like that,
Yeah.
That's a lot to take in and to process. And the good news is, at least in this company, all of us have had a moment like that where you hit that wall, you hit that breaking point. So, obviously none of us were at that weight, but it didn't matter what our weight was. That moment of, I've got to change something.
Yeah.
We all hit that wall the same. And so we found our ways to do that. So let's, you jokingly said, the carb guy, thing. You have been one of those people that's kind of been a moderate, you just find, eat to your macros, using the caloric deficit to your advantage, things like that. Talk us through, at least in the initial phase, what was it that what protocol did you go into? Like, what did you find that was working for you, especially early on, but just that to get the ball rolling and the weight dropping off?
Yeah, absolutely. So in the very beginning, I kind of did what like anybody else would do, and I kind of did that comparison thing, and went to the internet and went to Instagram, found all these other people who had success, and started picking and pulling and seeing what I could do. And I never per se did keto, but I did pretty much just a low carb, clean eating thing. You know what I mean? I knew my problem was with soda, was with chocolate milk, and then obviously, my thing is like Oreos and you name it. So just cutting out the junk and going from eliminating liquid calories and just going straight water and cleaning up my diet a little bit. My first month, obviously, I was at an extremely high number. My first month, I lost 40 pounds. And then, it slowed up to 20 and then 10, 15. You know what I mean? It was up and down, up and down. But I really didn't have that much of a structure. It was just more stop eating junk, stop with the soda, stop with chocolate milk, But yeah, just if we had to put a diet term, it was just like a low carb but bodybuilding type diet, just like 5-6 meals a day. Logging my food on MyFitnessPal, so just like a lot of lean proteins, a lot of, I was kind of afraid of rice in the beginning, so I was doing, cauliflower rice, so kind of keto, but not with the higher fat ratios.
And didn't you go for a stretch where you just pretty much ate the exact same thing for an extremely long time?
Yeah, and I still kind of do. Like I'm doing, like you guys said earlier, I'm doing January 1st, I started, it's World Carnivore Month, and I just listened to the episode that you guys dropped with the carnivore doctor. And I decided, because I like going all in, I'm doing carnivore right now, and I'm doing 75 hard, and I'm doing carnivore for 75 days. So, but same thing, like my food is just very repetitive because that's just the type of person that I am. Just like when I cook, it's just like an assembly line type thing. So right now I'm pretty much eating the same thing every day. I do eggs, and I've picked up a couple things from guys on Instagram, from like Gourmet. I just do like eggs with Kerrygold, and then I'm switching it up with the proteins, but like meatballs or ribeye, sirloin, pulled pork in the crock pot. But I'm just a very repetitive person, and I know, that type of thing doesn't work for everybody. So whenever people ask me what I eat or what I ate to lose all the weight, I really can't preach it because, you know what I mean? It's just not for everybody, but you got to find what works for you.
Yeah, I'm with you on that. Because like for me, like, I could cook some pretty extravagant stuff, but most of the time I'm just repeating the same meals over and over again. It pretty much revolves around beef. So it's like once I have a goal in my mind, the steps it takes to get there it's just necessary, and it's just what I'm going to do. Like, I don't need variety. Like,
Yeah.
I could just say, this is the goal. This is what I got to get there. If I can nail down these macros and this food to a science day by day, well, then I don't got to worry about that. I just got to cook the same thing every day and then focus on the goal itself.
Yeah, exactly. I mean, variety is nice, but also well, not right now, but being at where I'm at now with my mindset and my comfort level with food after this challenge is done, it's nice being able to go out to a restaurant and not worry and not log my food. Like, honestly, I haven't logged in MyFitnessPal for, I don't know, over a year, 2 years, besides right now, because I'm still playing around with it, making sure that, obviously there's going to be little traces of carbs and like eggs and cheese and stuff, but, just playing around with this new diet that I'm doing. But it's nice sticking to something that and then, it's a lot easier.
When you started losing all of this weight, what was the reaction from the people around you? I mean, at 40 pounds is obviously a huge amount to lose in a month's time. But yet when you're at, 480 or so, hate to say this, was 40 pounds really noticeable for those around you?
Yeah. Honestly, it comes down to, I don't know what the statistic is, but like, it takes X amount of days for you to notice something, but people around you notice it sooner. But yeah, I was pretty big. I was wearing, looking back before that pallet scale day, a couple months before that, I was at a wedding and I was wearing size 70 pants and a 7XL custom vest. I didn't have a suit because, I mean, I'm sure I could have had one custom made, but that would have been a fortune. And it was a hot summer day in Florida, so I wasn't trying to do that. But just, I really, besides, the scale moving, I didn't really notice the physical changes for a while. But, one of the things that is preached a lot in the weight loss, community is those little non-scale victories. So, people were saying it and that felt great. People pumping you up on Facebook, on Instagram, saying you're doing so great. But it really came down to me, like, noticing that I could, tie my shoe. I could put my socks on. I could bathe myself properly. That was really what was it for me. The scale moving was great. But just those being able to live life and not, find so much dependency on other people.
So like how soon did that kick in for you, and kind of what was that revelation moment of either what was the moment itself, or what was it like whenever you realized, okay, this is working, I'm seeing a change, and did it fuel your fire, or did it kind of like mess you up a little bit?
Oh no, it definitely did. It felt great. Because it all started, it was always a pretty solo ride for me. I just started working out in my neighborhood. A couple people were noticing, you get, good job. Hey, how are you? Just walking in the neighborhood. And then I progressed to the neighborhood gym. And then, I started going to Planet Fitness, and it just feels good. People start noticing, people start talking to you. You start getting a little comfortable taking your headphones off and making conversation. And it really feels good, like not being stared at as the amusement park ride, but as a person. And, it's really hard to say, but you really do start getting treated differently, especially long term once I lose all the weight. Like I've held the same job since I've lost all the weight, and there's been at least a handful of, experiences. But I remember one time I had a delivery at a condo building, and the guy asked, "What happened to the big guy? Whatever happened to that big guy? Did he die?"
Oh
yeah.
No. Oh, I
And
take back my laughter.
Yeah, it was bad, and I was kind of like shocked by it. So I'm pretty open about my. I just like pulled out my little loose skin in my stomach. I'm like, right here, that's me. That was me. That was me. So, but it is different. Like you definitely, it's unfortunate, but that's just how we're programmed. And like, you do get treated a little differently, and it feels good, but it also takes you back a little bit. Like, man. So.
And it definitely built up some character in you, because when I look at some of the videos you post, you had just mentioned loose skin, and one thing that I am like amazed by is that like you just don't care. Like you're
no
like,
shame. Shame.
Here it is. Like this is what it is. Here's where I'm at. And don't get me wrong, like you are an absolute monster underneath all that loose skin. It's like when you put these pictures, it's like I've never seen a guy that's like so big and so vascular, but at the same time you grab, a big old flap of loose skin and start bouncing around. You're like, this is what it is. You're big, you're strong. I think is that CrossFit? You do a lot of CrossFit, right? I think it was CrossFit.
They actually just closed up, but I keep the ball rolling. But yeah, CrossFit was huge. CrossFit was a huge part. I had already lost all the weight, but that helped me get to that next level. But the loose skin, I mean, my body, I've always been comfortable. Unfortunately and fortunately, like some of my best pictures was like a random, I didn't even tell my mom to like, hey, take these pictures. But I didn't care. Like I was 400, those beach pictures that I always post, I was 440 pounds. Like that was first month in, just on a beach, no shirt. People were looking at me. It's fine. I think what hurts the most is, the little kids looking at you, like I said, like an amusement park ride, because they don't know any better, and they'll say some, smart things to the moms and be like, wow, look at that guy. And, they don't know any better. But yeah, I mean, I've just always been comfortable in my skin. And I think that's like one of my, I don't want to say like best traits, but yeah, the loose skin now, if people ask me all the time, like, oh, don't you want to get surgery for that? Oh, aren't you going to get surgery for that? I'm like, I live in South Florida, and like everything here is plastic. So there's no medical coverage, and it's about $20,000, which I can think of a lot of other things I would do with that money, if it doesn't bother me.
It's a good answer.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's certainly one of those things that you have to deal with a little bit, because you do have to. You probably very similar to John Glad, better known on Instagram as Obese to Beast. You probably have to do the compression wear and things like that to try to hold things in place. That with my little bit of loose skin that I have from the weight loss that I've had, if I go running, that stuff bounces all sorts of around, and it's totally uncomfortable. That's worse than the running itself. Sometimes, as far as pain or discomfort, and so
You're giving yourself an applaud. That's what I say. Whenever I'm running, I don't work compression. It's like, I don't know if I'm playing, I don't know if I'm watching Jumanji or if somebody's behind me clapping, but yeah, I definitely get it. But no, compression was definitely, like you said, with Obese to Beast. I actually met that guy. He's pretty cool.
Yeah,
he's pretty cool.
I don't agree with him on everything, but he's a cool dude.
Yeah. But for like CrossFit specifically, compression is a must because my skin isn't that, I have a lot, but it's not to the point that it's going to flap in my face. But on things like power snatches, power cleans, like box jumps, you need to tuck that guy in because it could get in the way of, certain things. But, yeah, and sometimes I used to get some rashes, some people get a lot of pain and discomfort from it, but I've just been fortunate. I haven't.
So one of the things that I wanted to make sure that we talked about is along the way, and it looks like it was early 2020, you did a contest prep and we're in a bodybuilding competition.
Yeah.
Tell us about that process because, it's one thing to be the guy on Instagram that has the extra loose skin that's, winning the world. Yeah. It's a whole nother level to put yourself out there in the real world on stage, loose skin and all, but killing it because you're killing it.
You mean not just doing it for likes?
Exactly.
Yeah. Do it for the gram. So that was just kind of like a spur of the moment. Like that was just a 2020. Why not? Let's do it. What else can go wrong? What can go right in 2020? I knew a couple people on Instagram and I saw them posting like, oh, this summer shredding, and I've heard about it. And what it is there's this bodybuilding show in Texas and it was supposed to be for summer, but COVID, 2020, all that. So it got pushed back a little bit till October. And I saw some mutual people saying that they were going to do it and that they had started prep and they're working with a coach and all this other stuff. And nothing against it, but I've just always been like a kind of raw dog, like, let me try it out, see what happens, go with the type guy. I lost the weight myself. I kind of figured out like my macros myself, like how to train different body parts, YouTube, Instagram, you name it. I just like figuring stuff out trial and error. I like figuring out stuff myself. So I already knew how to do like some bodybuilding stuff. And, a couple were saying like, oh, you should really stop doing CrossFit. Well, I love doing CrossFit, so I'm not going to stop that. So I just took it upon myself and I put it into the universe. I, said, hey, I'm going to do this. And I actually started switching on my diet. I didn't know what I was doing again. Just started cutting back carbs, just to try and deplete and, get a little extra fluff off. And, it was an experiment. And funny thing is, it was pretty, not that it's like extremely expensive, but it is an expense. There was the show entry fee, there was, the flight, there was the tanning, all these other things. And I'm just a normal dude. So I was like waiting to sign up until I knew that I could, square it away. And then I went to go sign up and it was sold out. The admittance was sold out. And I was like, oh wow, I put this all over Instagram. I said I was going to do it. So I was DMing the company. Nothing. Sold out. Sorry, we can't do anything. So I didn't give up. I was still training hard, but I was like, okay, I don't need to be this lenient with my diet. And then it was like 2 weeks before and they DM'd me that they had an opening, jumped on it. And I was just back on the ball. I was back, had my head in the game. And, it takes a lot. Like bodybuilding, it's not for everybody. And it's probably one, I'll probably do another show. Just because, The Rock is doing a show in Atlanta, which isn't too far from me, but it really comes down to a lot more than just wearing, getting half naked and stepping on stage. Like there's posing and all this other stuff. And when I showed up in Texas, I was a little, overwhelmed. Like there was guys there. I didn't make any announcements. Like I kind of, I was just, like you said, like that warrior mindset. I went a little quiet. I went training. I wasn't really posting much. And I kind of just showed up. And there's all these dudes and they're just in there and they're flexing like the ways to, I don't know, make their back wings like extreme. I don't know how to explain it, but I was completely out of my element. Like these were real bodybuilders. And I just kind of stepped on stage and, like personality kind of just kicked in. Like I got up there. I jiggled and wiggled, my extra skin. Everybody else was wearing like professional like training trunks. My trunks it looked like a sprinkled ice cream cone. So it was just like personality for me. And honestly, like the best part was everybody had to submit a video that there was like 40 guys. And if you were in the top, I want to say 10, your video got played and you didn't know. So you were just sitting behind stage and you heard, if you heard your voice, you were on to the next round. So I kept hearing other people kept getting called up. And then I heard my voice, I heard the beginning of my video. And I mean, your heart just sinks because you've already put in all this work to lose the weight outside of this. And then it just becomes real. And then you go to the next round where they're calling out the trophies and, they're saying all the people's names and their badge numbers. And just when I knew I was the last guy behind stage and they called my number, I mean, it was surreal. So just like you said, just stepping out of your comfort zone, just being able to go from a guy who was 480 pounds near death to getting out of his element and just owning it, just showing off the hard work. Something that I can't put a number of value on what that day meant for me besides the trophy. Like I can care less about the trophy, just meeting all like-minded individuals, like people who came from a similar struggle. It was just an amazing day.
Have all of these changes for the better for you? What's been impacted outside of your physical form? I mean, mentally, emotionally, spiritually, are there other things that have benefited in your life because of the weight loss and because of your positive attitude, Alex?
Yeah, I mean, mindset, I definitely believe mindset is absolutely the most important thing to anything, absolutely anything. Any goals you have, business, financial, family at home, with your physical. If you don't truly like believe like, okay, I have this set, I'm going to go and get after it. If you don't think you could obtain it, you're already going to fail. Mindset was huge. Like I said, I didn't put a number or, a stamp on, when I was going to have all this done, but I knew that I was going to do it because I had no other choice. Like I was literally a ticking time bomb. Like I was killing myself. So mindset was always huge, just having that discipline from nobody around me was on a diet. You know what I mean? Food was still around. I was still working in a grocery store. You know what I mean? Everything was still around me. Not everybody nobody. Like I was going to the gym by myself. It was me, my headphones, and that guy in the mirror. So just mindset was huge, having that determination, that discipline and adapting and, continually just rolling with the punches. Like, one thing that is a staple with me now is, you know what I mean? I go to bed early and I'm an early riser. Right now I'm waking up at 3:30 in the morning. I usually wake up at 4 a.m., but I just started coaching. So I like having just that 30 minutes to myself in the morning, just cooking my breakfast and then reading. Just having that appreciation that, even though I came this far, I still want to go further. You know what I mean? So just
Now,
like
when you go, let's pause for a second. You get up at 3:30 in the morning. What time do you go to bed?
8. Yeah.
So we're almost to your bedtime.
Yeah. No, you're good. You're good. No rush at all. Yeah. Weekends are a little, I'm not that strict on the weekends, but it's just kind of like an automatic thing. Like I don't even set an alarm. I start dozing, wake up. But yeah, just like you said, I mean, it's just mindset. It's just, building those routines, those constant habits, things that just become natural. Like you don't feel like it's a task to do them.
Well, and it's not like you're not busy because we kind of had some issues getting you scheduled because you're working a couple jobs. Now you're doing some coaching and things like that. So tell us a little bit about what it's taking for you from, again, mindset wise, but what specifically are you doing or how are you fostering this drive to keep moving without burning yourself out, because that's really, really important. And honestly, that's applicable to me because I'm doing basically the same thing. So, what are you doing?
Yeah. So that's a very, very important word that you just brought up, burning yourself out. There's definitely not enough hours in the day. But I feel like I make the best out of them. I've always been the type of guy who enjoys like regular hard labor. My job, I think, just like a lot of people, like I listened to Gormy's episode and I know his story. I lost my job, my job that I've had for 5 years. I got furloughed when, the pandemic first hit. And instead of just sitting back and collecting unemployment, I just looked around and I picked up another job that was, working. I was working overtime. I was getting, 60 to 70 hours a week. Gyms were closed. So I was Lance Armstrong and I was riding my bike for, 40 miles a day. I just always try and pick up, and just keep moving. But currently, another little thing that you just adapt. My CrossFit gym recently closed a little under a month ago, and I had an opportunity that I got a scholarship that that paid for my NASM personal training, and I work at a facility to pay off that scholarship that they did for me, and I picked up a 5 a.m. class because all the people that I used to train with at CrossFit were looking for a new home. And these two girls, they know what they're doing. Like when they show up in the gym, they work, they put in the work. But consistency and just structure and routine is tough for them. So, me just guiding them and, programming the appropriate workouts, and they hate me a little bit, but, just doing some HIIT workouts and actually structuring programs where they could actually feel the different muscle groups and, feel like, hey, I was never sore there. And like, yeah, you're welcome. But just doing that, just having that structure, I strive on consistency and routine. So I get to the gym at 4. I work out myself at 4. They show up at 5. We do a little hour class, and then it's back home. It's shower, get my meals ready for the day. My job, I'm a delivery courier for a lighting showroom in Boca Raton, Florida. So I'm on the road 8 to 10 hours a day, but that has never been an issue. I mean, that was an issue back at my heaviest because, drive-throughs are readily available. But I just pack my lunches in my little meal prep bag, heat them up, and then I'm good to go. So I really strive and I thrive on that routine and consistency. And then, I get off work 5, 6 o'clock and I unwind and I just relax and I feel accomplished, because one thing that I'm grateful for with the 75 Hard is like, I'm reading a book again. That's great. Like getting off my phone and actually reading. And then, for that, there's a 45-minute indoor workout and outdoor workout. Just walk. Like you guys were talking about the guy with the bacon diet. That's amazing. That's awesome. Especially that it's sponsored. But, I lost a lot of weight. Like I lost obviously, the 265 pounds, or 280, but I lost 11 pounds in the first week of 75 and carnivore. Obviously that is because the whole macro change and doing 2 workouts a day. And I slowly learned like, hey, you need to up the fats. You need to adjust your calories. And you don't need to do 2 hard workouts a day. Like slow down. So just finding that balance in the day, especially like you said, with coaching, with a regular 9 to 5, and just balance yourself before you burn out. Because I also thought about doing like online coaching, but it's just too much, and you really don't want to take on. Like I was a big dude, and I would always clean my plate, but you don't want to put too much on your plate where you're just stuffing your face and you're gonna barf. So that's definitely something huge. It's not burning out, not taking on too much responsibility.
It's pretty wise. It's pretty wise.
Yeah.
So I'm gonna steal a little bit of Chris's thunder here. And one question that we always typically ask, and I'm just gonna reword it a little bit, is if you could talk to your younger self, and alongside of that, there are a lot of members in our group, a lot of guys are going to listen to this that are just starting their journey, that are unhappy with where they're at, that are more overweight than they want to be, that are looking for any little tips, tricks, any little motivation. So like if you were to talk to them like you would talk to your younger self and be a little bit rude if you have to.
Ooh, let's do it.
What would the message be that you pass along?
Simply, I would say, no one's coming to save you. Just like that. No one's coming to save you. You know what I mean? You have to. I wouldn't change a thing from my past. Everything happened. Unfortunately, it took me getting that high to wake up. But just start caring about yourself before you get that far. You know what I mean? And to you guys, 480, 500 pounds, that's a lot. There's people a lot heavier than me. There's people with a lot more, worse variables with diabetes. Like I'm grateful that I never had asthma. I never had, sleep apnea. I never had diabetes. I never had anything. Like I'm not very religious, but I was a blessing. Like I didn't have any of these things. So my thing to tell, guys listening, people who are just starting is nobody is coming to save you. You need to wake up before it's too late.
That's a tough one to follow right there, my friend.
Yeah. It's hard. Yeah. It's hard.
No, it's the truth. Like for me, it's like my little go-to saying is never settle.
Yeah.
You find yourself settling, something slips up. I'm recently trying to do the right thing for myself and going to get doctors and checkups and blood work and dentists and, do the adult thing. Backfired on me. And then having a round of antibiotics and medications sent my gut way sideways. It's like, okay, well, now I'm back to square one. I'm back on medication and there's work to do. Never settle.
Yeah, exactly.
One of the huge takeaways on this type of thing is that no matter the methodology that you find or use, the mindset is very similar. You just have to zero in on ourselves, look back at ourselves. That's one of the things that I try to do. I don't think I always do it very well, but I think that it's healthy for us to kind of go out of body and look back at ourselves and kind of change our point of view so that we can see ourselves the way that other people do. And I think that helps inform us quite a lot to make better decisions, to see where we're slacking off or where we could tighten things up or whatever that may be. But and
that's like another reason why I brought the I have a couple keto friends, so that whole carnivore thing, World Carnivore Month. I mean, I feel like there's like a holiday for everything now, like chocolate chip cookie day and stuff. But I was like, okay, let's do it. And I stacked 75 hard on it with. And I'm a huge perspective guy. Like I want to see what it's like for everybody. I did a couple vegan meals over the summer. Wasn't a huge fan of it. Don't knock it. Just not for me. I'm actually really enjoying this. Not really like itching for Oreos, itching for my carbs. I'm not going to go gun ho on day, 76. But I like seeing different, I like seeing different perspective and, trying things out. So if something works and something sustainable for somebody, stick to it. You know what I mean? There is no right or wrong to anything. So perspective is huge.
Jim?
I'm just taking it all in, and I wish that we could bottle what you've got, Alex, honestly. Because in our conversations for almost 2 years now, and in 4 years of having the Keto Man's Club and everything, there are guys who, this isn't the best analogy, but it's what I'm going to give you. There are guys who need to run into you at the airport lounge and your flight's delayed, and you guys need to talk for an hour. One of those just random things. There's no pressure. It's just two guys that just happen to bump into each other, and all of a sudden you've got this common thing, and wow, how you've overcome it, how you've taken it and ridden with it and made yourself better in so many ways, and how you said that that scale was such a moment for you. what you're doing right now is a moment for somebody else. And
Yeah.
I hope you realize that.
Yeah.
Because whether or not it's that person that you're coaching at 5 a.m., which, pardon me, but that's just freaking stupid. I can't get up that early.
Yeah, right.
Or whatever. But whatever the case is,
Yeah.
you're making an impact whether or not you realize it. And that you seem to be a very modest person with all of these great things that have happened in the last couple of years of taking control of your life again. And it's just awesome to hear. And I really hope that the people who are listening to this on down the line take heart to it, that it is possible to overcome and find a better, healthier path for themselves.
Absolutely. I appreciate it. Thank you.
But I'm still not getting up at 5 a.m., dude.
Right? It's definitely not for everybody.
No.
That's an argument that I get into with people. It's not argument, but a fun discussion, because it's like, okay, they're like, well, I got up at 4:45. I'm like, well, that's great. What time did you go to bed? 7 p.m. Okay, well, I did all my stuff before midnight. I slept till 8. I feel just as good as you do.
Yeah,
So.
exactly. It's funny. Like, actually, I know a couple of you guys are from up north. There was one day in South Florida. It was last winter. It was like 45 degrees, which is frigid for here. And the owner was like pissed because I was literally the only one who showed up. like
45, that's shorts weather. What are you talking about?
Yeah, I loved it. And she even wrote like a post in the Facebook group, like, okay, I guess nobody wanted to do power snatches, or maybe it's because it was 45 degrees out. Well, at least Alex still showed up. Oh man, yeah,
Awesome.
So let's normally we ask favorite foods, and the rule is always that the favorite can't be steak. But let's do it kind of in two parts. You can say what your favorite go-to is now or forever, when carnivore or not. But then also give us a little idea of what a day in eating looks like for you. Is it multiple meals? And if so, what do those look like? Things like that.
Okay. So, the running joke is I'm the Oreo guy. So if we're not talking, keto carnivore, Oreos got me pretty thick. So whenever there's a limited edition Oreo, like right now I have, there's a hazelnut, there's a brookie, and there's a Java chip flavor. This is going to trigger so many of you listeners.
Your knowledge of Oreos is quite fascinating.
Yeah, right.
Suddenly the microphone went out and we lost the rest of the show.
Trigger warning. Like I brought a couple of the limited editions with me to Texas after the show so I could eat after the show. But no, like my go-to, if we're not talking keto or carnivore, my go-to is definitely a calzone. I like sweets, but I like being satiated. So a good calzone, that's my thing. But if we're talking like on my carnivore diet right now, you just can't go wrong with good old fashioned, beef. Like right now, like I said, my diet's pretty, I just eat like repetitive things. I kind of stick to the same like eating time schedule. So it's 5 meals a day. Like you guys said, I wake up really early. So my first meal is 10 whole eggs with 3 tablespoons of Kerrygold. And just throughout the day, it's, dealer's choice of, if it's ribeye, if it's sirloin, if it's, just ground beef, I'm making some beef balls, just hit or miss. But I know you said we can't go steak, so I'm just going to go, just meatballs or just, ground beef, just simple.
What do you put in your meatballs to keep them solidified, so to speak? Because I know that a lot of people use breadcrumbs, which obviously isn't ideal. Do you use that? Do you use pork rinds, or what have you used?
No, actually, I mean, I don't know if I just have like the magic touch, but literally all I do is I just, Gormy put me on the, what's that? Redmond's. Put me onto Redmond's real salt and just like coarse ground black pepper, and I just ball them up and put them in the air fryer.
Okay.
Nothing, because I don't want to risk it, because I don't want to get any grief. Like, oh, you're not supposed to use this. So I just keep it as simple as possible, and with my seasonings, because I don't want to put, something that might have carbs, and like, oh, you're out. You didn't do carnivore right. So I just keep it simple, and they hold up in the air fryer. So
Have you talked to Oreo and company about doing some kind of carnivore Oreo?
man, I listen. I tagged. I've seen people have tagged me in like bacon wrapped Oreos. I have people tag me in the weirdest flavored Oreos. Like, would you try? I'm like, no, that's disgusting.
Honestly, that whole bacon wrapped Oreo thing was like the latest quick trend to fly through the whole like barbecue smoking scene. It was like a big deal for like a hot minute.
I think that would be. I mean, if you bacon wrapped it and then you deep fried it, I think that would sell at fairs. That would be amazing. Mm-hmm. I am down.
Yeah, I've seen or heard of bacon or not bacon wrapped, but deep fried Oreos before.
Oh,
so I'm certain it could be done, and maybe because bacon does pair well sometimes with sweet. I think it could totally work. But it definitely has to be like deep fried or something to make it happen. We do not advise that as members of the keto community. Right? That is not a keto suggestion.
It's all right. Everybody already left once they heard Oreos. They
left. So one of the last few things as we start to wrap things up that I wanted to make sure because this is kind of a big deal. You're a trainer now. You are becoming an icon, or maybe icon's strong, but you're becoming an influencer, if nothing else. And we were chatting a little bit about this before we started recording, but you recently got a sponsorship.
I did.
It's not a small company. It's not like, it's Redcon. And
yeah,
we do have our saying, steaks over shakes. Steaks are better than shakes. And generally speaking, I think you would even agree with that. But
absolutely.
Sometimes you need something to help make that macro, and you need a pure protein number, or you need just a little boost midday, or whatever that might be. Talk about that process a little bit and what that's meant for you.
Absolutely. Well, first, I'm just going to plug this out there that some of their products are keto friendly. So like I said earlier, I live and work in the Boca Raton area, and Redcon One just happens to be a local supplement company, and they're also a giant in the bodybuilding community and sport supplementation. And I've actually been like very close with them. When I told you I got furloughed and I picked up a job, I was working at the warehouse. So they've always opened opportunity for me. So I for one, I kind of cringe whenever I see people on social media promoting a product that they know absolutely nothing about. So I pride myself on knowing stuff. I pride myself on knowing what's in the stuff and, how to use the stuff. So that kind of just sprung upon, just opportunity and working with them and being a product of the product, just knowing your stuff. And it's just a blessing. It's just an opportunity that I wasn't expecting. Every year they sponsor one or two people, and I made it. And I mean, just the term, the phrase athlete is more than just a title to me. Growing up being the fat kid that was always picked last in sports, just being able to change the demographic of, you're representing a big bodybuilding company. So you see all these guys who, they're not just having steaks, but just being a normal Joe Schmo, and being one of the faces of the brand is just huge for me. So I'm just still a little shocked that happened, but definitely grateful that happened. So yeah, that happened just before 2021 hit. So 2020 was a pretty big year for me.
I think it's a really great opportunity, and anytime that you do have a big company like that come behind you, that says something for sure. And then I echo very, very much your just to be called an athlete. I was the geek. I was the more or less outcast in a lot of situations. I was in choir. I was in the worship band. I was not an athlete growing up, and especially in most of my bachelor days, before losing weight, and actually when I was gaining all the weight, I was very definitely not an athlete during those days. And I wouldn't say that I'm a great athlete at this point, but I can see that I actually have what it takes to be an athlete. And that's coming to that realization, and rejecting that old me that wasn't an athlete. That's really crazy. And a lot to wrap your mind around. Well, any other last bits of tidbits before we get your contact information that you would like to share? We want to make sure that we hit everything that you'd like to share.
I mean, there's not really much else that we didn't really touch on. Just, like I said, for those, guys and who are just starting. And I know maybe even, there's a couple females who listen to your podcast, even though it's the Keto Man's Club, is just listening to stories. It's possible. Mm-hmm. It's possible. Like, there is no, you could blame, you can count yourself out on, your genes and, how everybody in your family's big, but just don't give up. Just believe in yourself. Like, literally, I'm just a normal dude. Like, I'm still working a 9 to 5. I just happen to wake up a whole lot earlier than a lot of people. Find it in yourself and just take control of your life. That's it, really.
Very cool.
Yeah, I like that. I'm just a normal dude. From 9 to 5. I relate with that so much. I just got into a really bad habit of waking up super early and going to the gym, and then happened to stumble across eating right. Like, I'll just kind of click. Other than that, I'm just a normal dude. I pay carbs for a living. I'm just a normal dude.
And Gormy gives me so much for that. He's like, okay, here comes the normal dude. I'm like, whatever. All right, I still got to punch it. I got to go. I got to go punch it for work. All right, leave me alone.
I love it. Love it. Well, how can people connect with you online and see more of your content, your story?
So I really just share my story on Instagram. My handle is Porro92, PORRO92. I have a Facebook, but I honestly don't feel offended if I don't accept. I'm rarely on there. I just go on there to look at, memories from X amount of years ago. But my whole story going back all the way, even before it was weight loss, it was just a personal page. So you can scroll all the way back. That's where I share everything. You can catch me on there, posting the same meals, talking the same stuff, and, shaking my skin a little bit. So Porro92 on Instagram.
Very cool. Very cool. Definitely worth the follow, keto or not, just because it really is hey, if you can do it, you can too. And I was, while we were talking, I was going back and I saw that you had that video montage of you in the vest and then checking out all the new suit jackets and the things that fit right off the rack and all of that. And it's inspiring to say, to put a word on it. And so thank you for sharing your story with us today.
Thank you. Thank you for having me.
Sure. Quick reminder again to our listeners, we would covet your support. If you thought that Alex's story was something that a friend or a family member needs to hear, please share this episode with them. We would love for you to do so. And then if you would like to reach out to us, have any questions, comments, you can do so through our website, theketomansclub.com, as well as the email and the phone number that I listed earlier, also in the show notes. So that's it for this week. We appreciate your listen. And until next week, make sure to eat meat, lift heavy, sleep, and repeat. Thank you for joining us for the Keto Man's Club podcast. Your support means the world to us. Don't forget to subscribe so you don't miss an episode. Would you help us spread the word about the Keto Man's Club by sharing with your friends and family? We're available on all podcast platforms, so just search for Keto Man's Club and you'll find us. If you would like to connect with us, you can do so a number of ways. Our web address leads to our Facebook group, theketomansclub.com. That's TheKetoMansClub.com. You can also follow us on Instagram at Keto Man's Club Podcast. Lastly, if you have any comments or questions, feel free to reach out via email to KetoMansClubPodcast@gmail.com. Thank you again for joining us today, and we look forward to hanging out with you again next week.